Have you ever thought about using trading bots? I used Bitsgap in the last bull market and turned $1,000 into $50,000 within a 5-month period. I documented the whole process and put it in a playlist if you want to see that, along with other training videos and tutorials how to set bots up and make the most of the volatility of the crypto market. If you sign up with a link in the description, you'll get a 7 days free trial with no obligation to continue, and you can also use a demo account within Bitsgap so you don't have to risk your own capital. Bitsgap. Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at some charts. So rather than just looking at exactly, what's going on for this one day, looking into tomorrow, which we will do towards the end of the video, I just want to bring something to your attention, let you think about something, alright? So for the most part, this is the Bitcoin chart, right, of this current cycle. So the bottom was in here, we assume, probably is. Ran up, ran up, ran up. So decent highs, a bit of bearish divergence, all cancelled out, I should mention though, over here. This is not anything like the previous beginning of the bull market where a bubble popped pretty quickly, to be honest with you, after a 6-month rally from basically 4,000 up to 14,000. Basically the money flow index went right up here on the weekly and popped around 96. This is the previous bull market top. That was the bull market humble beginnings pop, and this was 2021 where the alt season began after Bitcoin had run significantly on its own and left altcoins behind in the dirt, and we had a pop. We did obviously go make new highs on this one, but generally this signified, I suppose, an overheated market. Obviously, 40,000 to what, just short of 70,000 is a decent move, but it's also one that was mostly beneficial for altcoins. Anyway, so I'm not really looking at this right now as anything similar to this. There's a question I got on my Patreon last night is, are we looking to consolidate for like a 6-month period or more as a result of reaching a significant high? I don't think so, to be fair. If anything, I think we're basically just going to meander around these areas. It's still a very bullish chart, and this is not a pop. It doesn't look like a pop, doesn't feel like a pop. It's high, but it's not ready for a giant consolidation. That's not what I'm looking for. What I am thinking is possible is something a little bit like this, not so much in the form of a bubble pop, but in the form of a rotation stroke alt season while Bitcoin sort of goes down and maintains a kind of a range, maybe down to the bottom of this range here, roughly around 32-ish area, right? So a bit of a history lesson if you weren't around in the last bull market. If you were, then you'll completely understand how significant this area was. Right, so Bitcoin broke out of its $12,000 range, which basically was effectively the peak for a very long time, really. So we had wicks above it, fine. This is what I've been saying recently as well. I think that Bitcoin's in a range similar to the previous one. The previous one effectively was 6,000 to 12. This one I think is around 20,000 to 40,000. That's effectively the range. So we broke out of that range, and over a short period, really, this is a weekly chart, over an 84-day period, we rallied 263% from the breakout, right, of the resistance. And then we consolidated. Where do we want to measure it from? The wick, might as well do. Down to the wick. That was a 30% retracement over a, 3 or 4 week period before it started going back up again. But in that 3 and 4 week period, which again peaked over here on the 4th of January, we'll just say, over that 3 or 4 week period, what actually really took place was a significant beginnings of an alt season. Absolutely epic stuff. Really started to take off, and look, this is the peak over here. So we're talking the Saturday, Sunday, the 21st of January, and look at the alt season on the dominance chart all the way down to it was 74 and bottomed out at 40. I'm not saying that that's the size of the move that we're going to see right now. Obviously the market caps are different, but it feels similar in the way that Bitcoin has effectively led the market more or less for the year. There has been lots of altcoins obviously that have outperformed Bitcoin's gains. We've taken part in some of those just recently, but even generally throughout the year, some of them have done that. So it's not the same. No market is exactly a carbon copy of the previous one, and definitely this time is different. So YouTubers love saying that, don't they? This time is different. I'm going to have to start saying that. But anyway, this time is slightly different. But it's also very much the same. So they're led by Bitcoin. Bitcoin drove the market, and the dominance chart, again, bottomed out around 38.8 and has appeared to peak around 54. This 54 doesn't really correspond to anything particular, not on a moving average basis. However, the last time we saw a move just outside of this 50 exponential on a monthly, we did actually come down and enjoy some relief for altcoins. And again, I say some relief, an enormous relief, but from a much higher area. So yeah, let's just bear all of this in mind. The 50 exponential has been relevant. It's probably a 55 exponential, to be fair. We don't have it on the chart, and so we might be looking at something like that happening, and maybe a retrace all the way down to the mid 40% zone on the dominance chart. So recognize what I'm saying here. Bitcoin can consolidate while altcoins rally. It happened here for a period of about a month, and it could be happening now. So if that is not what we think is going to happen, but if there is a chance of that happening, let's have a think about what that might look like on these charts. Let's reflect, shall we? So obviously Bitcoin has rallied very hard on this daily here. We've got a 21 exponential, we've got a 20 simple moving average, which all sit down here, which are all relevant supports, and we've had reactions from them over the last few days since this pullback over here. So that currently sits now, if we were to pull back to those levels again, 2.5%. It's not much, is it? The 50 exponential is further down the list, 9.3%, and the 200 exponential and simple is a good 20% down from where we are right now. And obviously these moving averages are trending up quite aggressively because the run has been pretty aggressive on this daily. So over time, these pullbacks to these supports will be less and less and less and less. If we think about the trajectory of the 200 simple and exponential, we reached the major support around that 31, 2 or 3 around Christmas time. So that would add a lot more weight to this area if basically we can end up in this range between now and basically Christmas, it would appear. 25th of December, very nice. So that could be the way that this price action works on Bitcoin, something similar to this. Maybe we bottom out around there and then we trend back up into the beginning of next year. So we might end up consolidating for a period of about a month. So if we consolidate for Bitcoin in a period of a month, do altcoins, is this a buying the dip market for altcoins? That's the question. Is it going to be similar to what it was like 2021, where we consolidated on Bitcoin and bounced on altcoins? Well, there is evidence for that, I would say, not just on the dominance chart, also not just on that, but I'll show you some other things on the total market cap. But let's just think about Ethereum, which generally helps to drive the market. So we're already at a major support now. If we were going to bounce hard, we should bounce hard from here. We haven't really bounced at all. Fear in the market. But if we measure the pullbacks on this one, so we've got a 50 exponential sitting around, well, we'll call it 6%, it's just less than 6% from where we're at right now. And the 200 exponential is about 9.7%. And when you get these golden crosses and they get retested, that's most likely, if you're going to get a V-shaped recovery, you'll get it from one of these. The best one would be one of these, the 200 exponential. So we might see ourselves pull back into this, and again, the trajectory will look a little bit like this. We'll pull back into this over the coming days, weeks, and maybe we see a catapult up to a new local high for Ethereum. Again, the reason I'm saying that there might be a serious dip buying opportunity for altcoins is because altcoins, like Ethereum, are bullish. This is a bullish chart. This is not a bearish chart. It is bullish. But the pullbacks to the major support zones are a lot less. And if you're going to get a V-shaped recovery, you'll get it from one of these areas. Bitcoin, if it was to get a V-shaped recovery from pulling back into a 200 exponential, for instance, that's a 20% pullback. For altcoins, it's a lot less. So my theory is this. We've seen it before in 2021. We might see it again now, because if Bitcoin decides it wants to fulfill this range, meander between 32 and 38 basically, we know that altcoins will emphasize any downtrend that Bitcoin does. So Bitcoin comes down 2%, Ethereum and other altcoins come down 4%, for instance. And that'll bring us down to a major area way before. So if Bitcoin decides it wants to trickle down a little bit more by about 5%, we would expect Ethereum, for instance, to maybe come down by 9 to 10%, which hits exactly this range if it were to happen today. Again, over time, it would be less and less and less of a pullback required to hit the area where a V-shaped recovery will happen. It's not just Ethereum that's set up like this. I'm just bringing it to your attention because Ethereum will help move the market just just by the size of its market cap and its effect on the dominance chart alone. But other charts such as XRP have had a decent pullback already, and if we were to pull back into our 200 exponential, again another 10%, and a V-shaped recovery on XRP should catapult us back up to our previous major highs, and so on and so on and so on. I mean, the altcoins were spoilt for choice with these kind of setups, and they all basically mimic the same thing. So if that's the case, there's one other chart that we can look at, which is the total 2, which is all altcoins, this is the market cap of all altcoins, excluding Bitcoin. So what do we look at here? So again, we're having a first major reaction just above a Bollinger Band center, so still relatively bullish even at this level for a buy the dip. So if we were to pull back to the tune of 2.5, that's fine. We've got a 7 to 8 to the 50, and we've got a 12% down here. Again, we've got double golden crosses on simple moving averages and on exponential moving averages, adding way more weight to the idea that this is in an uptrend itself. Again, I made that video about 2 or 3 days ago about how we are approaching, if not already hitting, a major resistance on this particular chart, as well as other charts, including Bitcoin, and I've highlighted a few. They're all hitting resistance, which is why I say, look, take profit is always best, and navigate the market appropriately. So I still believe, based on what I see, it's not a belief, it's an analysis, that what we're seeing here is an uptrend. But with any uptrend comes periods of down, right? It has to go down to create higher lows. That's just the nature of it. And so what we're looking at now is that where we're going to find the higher low. Is it going to be like super optimistic and sitting around the Bollinger Band center where you're 65% more likely to maintain the upper band, or is it going to break down from there and go into a much deeper retracement into a golden cross where we almost, well, I say almost always, we see so frequently a V-shaped recovery take place from that. And a V-shaped recovery means that not only do we move back up to our previous resistance, but we have a good chance of breaking it. So a move back up would be a 20% move, a move up to the next major resistance is a 65, 66% move, which would be awesome, because this is just the market cap. So we'd be thinking of maybe like Ethereum might pull back and then run and do a 65% move. That's nice on its own. But then all those lower cap, medium cap coins with really strong setups with a variety of different signals, they're the ones that will be doing hundreds of percent from that particular level. So before you write off this entire market because you see red over the next few days, and you might not, like I say, optimistic buyback has already taken place from the center of this Bollinger Band right now. But before you decide to write the entire market off and think that it's all over, think about that. Think about the fact that, hang on a minute, we've seen behavior like this in the past. Bitcoin can come down while altcoins do go up. Obviously, Bitcoin brings everything down, but then the buyback is fantastic, is explosive for altcoins, and this is effectively an alt season given to us by incremental dips on Bitcoin's chart and then springboards on the altcoin charts. And if we're going to get a super spring, we'll be getting it from another 10% drop, generally speaking, for something like Ethereum and other altcoins. And that, again, is going to bring us up to our previous local highs and probably beyond. So this is a theory based on previous chart history. This is what has happened in the past. The idea reflects the way that the charts look. I have to say the charts do look like that is a strong possibility. It's not the only possibility. We could go to Wrecked City with a one-way ticket. We definitely could. But I think there's enough evidence to support the idea that this could be it. And so we've already seen altcoins do a really decent rally over a month now, and we've had a great time doing that. And we also took a lot of profit as we were going up, and now we're safely waiting for the next major opportunity, which I believe is this. Now I was on the Patreon live stream last night, and I always use an analogy, just try and hit it home. Like if there was a gun to my head and I had to make a trade, what would I do? And I said, look, to be fair with you, if there was a gun to my head last night, I would say I would probably buy the dip, right? The dip so far has not been bought. It's not moved up, but the next dip is the big one, and it might not be the next one dip down, but the next sort of leg down, major leg down, would be the big one. And this is where the biggest higher low would be formed. Any one of these areas on Ethereum, 1825, 1781, maybe 1756, and that's where we spring from. So I would be looking for the market to be coughing up some attempts to move up, especially for Bitcoin. People obviously think Bitcoin is still the major leader in this market, which it definitely is, but I think the tables might be turning on it right now. Bitcoin might make another attempt, but remember, with every pullback on Bitcoin, altcoins get pulled back more. And I think if I have the choice to buy any dips, I'm not going to be buying the Bitcoin dip. The only Bitcoin dip I'll be buying is back down at a 200 exponential, back down below 30. I won't be buying any more Bitcoin. I've got more than enough of that now. If anything, I will be buying the altcoin dips based on Bitcoin pulling the market down to an appropriate level. Again, on their own individual charts, no altcoin is created equal, we know that. But specific charts that I'm very interested in, with good setups, with higher highs, higher lows, trending charts, not broken bearish, with decent setups. Bitcoin will give us those dips, and those dips we should take advantage of, or should I say, will be taken advantage of. Right, that's basically all I've got to say. It might be a bit of a long-winded way of saying that we've seen this in 2021, we might be seeing it again, but let's not go full-on moon boy. You know, just keep your trousers on. It's not going to be like 2021 in the size of the rallies, but the behavior is what I'm trying to put across here. The behavior at the beginning of 2021, I think we might be starting to see that unfold. It's unclear right now because it's only just starting. We need to see a reaction. I think that's what we're looking at. So, in summary, similar kind of behavior to 2021's humble beginnings. That is all. Right, thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.